This is One on One. Luis Robles, who is captain and goalkeeper of the great New York Red Bulls. How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Growing up as a kid, was soccer your thing?
No, it wasn't actually.
What was it?
Baseball. So my dad comes from Puerto Rico. He was drafted into the military back way in the day during the Korean conflict. And so eventually, much further down the road when he had me and my brother, he put a lot of baseball in our life. Whether it was the Yankees or the Mets, he just grew up with that, and that was his thing. And up until about 11 or 12 years old, that was my thing.
So soccer comes into your life. You get the bug, you're good at it, but the goalkeeping position, explain to people, we'll get into a whole range of other partnerships and collaborations that Luis and the Red Bulls are involved in, but I'm curious, goalkeeper versus the rest of folks on the team.
Well, I smiled because he said, I get the bug and I'm good at it, and that's totally not the case. I wasn't good at all, actually.
Stop it.
No, so my story starts with me getting cut. 11 years old, I try out for a soccer team, and the only reason I try out for this travel team is because my best friend, Sean, was trying out for the team, and now he was very good. He was one of the best players on the team. And yet, after the first day, they said, thanks for coming out, but don't worry about coming out tomorrow, right?
To you?
Yeah, to me. And so what ended up transpiring is a couple weeks later, their goalkeeper is not sure if they want to do it full time, and Sean suggests my name, and the coach calls me up and asks, hey, if you're willing to play goalie and just goalie, right, you can be on the team. And for me, it just seemed like an opportunity to be able to hang out with Sean more often. And so that's when I caught the bug. Standing in goal, defending shots, that challenge of standing there and trying to defend the goal was something that really spoke to me. And at that point on, it would just become a passion and obsession. And slowly I became better and better and better. But as I look back in my career, there are so many opportunities that came out of nothing that I sort of seized, but it wasn't purely because of talent.
I got to tell you, you just helped an awful lot of kids and parents of those kids who are dealing with who didn't make the team, who's on the B team, whatever. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
Talk about the connection between you, your colleagues with the Red Bulls, and Hackensack Meridian Health, because I know there's an initiative, it's called Child Life.
Correct.
Talk about it.
And so it's something that comes from Hackensack Meridian, but the partnership started when I joined here at the New York Red Bulls. I think one thing that's incredible about our organization is that we don't just talk about being in the community, we actually do it. You see the front office, the sales team, the players are constantly engaging in a way, whether it's visiting hospitals, showing up to activities, or inviting kids to come in, design shoes. Last year we had this really cool initiative where patients at the hospital came to the training facility, they designed shoes. We had a shoe artist put the graphics on the shoe. And then at one game, at one selected game, the kids came and we presented the gifts to them. And it's things like that that really permeate throughout the organization that is ingrained in the culture. And so for a kid who also had parents that were constantly talking about giving back, it became low-hanging fruit to join in with all these activities. And so now what's occurred is the last couple of years, we've had this partnership, and then exclusively myself and my wife, we've also come alongside and say, hey, what can we do? How can we help?
And by the way, you have 3 young children.
3 young kids. And that's actually where the relationship continues to deepen, is all 3 of my kids are born here in Jersey. They were born at Hackensack Hospital. And so we just have an affinity towards them. And when that partnership already existed with the Red Bulls, it became easier for us to get involved.
I know there are 2 kids, Diego and Jack, I
Correct.
think, and they're the ones who were selected for this initiative connected to Child Life. Did they actually, what do? Do they hang out with you guys, spend a day with you, and then what? Play? Get on the field? Do what?
So I'm not sure what the selection process was like to select them, but it seems like we have 2 great candidates. And what we're trying to do is just brighten their life. We know that they're going through certain situations in their life.
Certain challenges.
Absolutely, that can be discouraging at times. And so for us, the challenge is simply how can we be a bright spot, a positive impactor in their life. And so what we're hoping to do at least is I'm going to get to see what it's like in a day in their life. And then on the flip side, we're going to invite them to the training facility and they're going to see what it's like a day in my life. And this will ultimately culminate with them taking in a game at Red Bull Arena.
That's awesome. And this actually started with the Tackle Kids Cancer Initiative, which we know very well. In fact, you should go on our website. We'll connect you to the football giants and the folks at that healthcare system, Hackensack Meridian Health, are connected to it as well. They're the ones who are driving that initiative. They've helped an awful lot of young people. Let me ask you this. Young people, I'm curious, our kids are all involved in sports one way or another. The disappointments, and you talked about that before, the frustration, the not making the team, or not making the A team, whatever that means, or starting, or what have you told, and your kids are very young, but given the fact that you're an elite athlete, my question is, how do you give us advice as parents? What should we be focusing on? What should we not be focusing on when it comes to our kids in sports?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is that they should be having fun, right? At the end of the day, they're kids, and they may have dreams. I was 6 years old when I told my parents I was going to be a professional baseball player. So I knew early on it wasn't a joke. It was like everything about my life was geared towards being a professional athlete. It transitioned later to 14 years old when I had to pick between baseball and soccer. And at that moment, I went with soccer, not knowing which one was going to provide a better outcome. And yet the reason I chose soccer is simply because of my friends, right? Sean was still in the picture there, and my 3 best friends played soccer, so I wanted to be with them as much as possible. And though I'm very competitive and I'm very self-motivated, the underlining foundation to all of it was having fun with my friends. And so when parents ask, and I get this question all the time, like, what are the secrets? What advice can I give to my kids? It's always shrouded in this idea of having fun. But
when it stops being fun?
When it's not fun, you're going to lose motivation. Then at that point, you're going to force something upon them. And if they're not motivated to do it themselves, it's a losing battle. But there's something else I say, and disappointments are inevitable. Right? Failures, disappointments,
not just in
all of
sports.
it. It's inevitable. Yes, in life and education and relationships. But discouragement is a mindset. Right? So if you can help your kid by encouraging them, by supporting them, then they're going to be able to get over the disappointments. But if their disappointments transition into a mindset of discouragement, it becomes that much harder.
Yeah. Real quick, 30 seconds. Connection between sports. I'm fascinated by leadership. I'm a student of it, teach it, coach it, think about it real quick. You are the goalkeeper. You are the captain. Are you the leader?
I'm one of the leaders.
What does it mean to you to be the leader?
So we have a saying that we learned when we went on an experience at West Point, right? West Point's this great academy that it's just, it's a factory manufacturing leaderships, right? Or leaders. And they told us that good teams are accountable to their leaders, but great teams are accountable to each other. Right? And so at that moment, you realize that in order for us to be great, they can't be accountable to just me or the coach.
That's right.
We have to develop within them the confidence that they can lead. And if we have a bunch of people leading but also understanding what it takes to work, I think we're going to be that much more successful.
It's helped a lot of people.
I hope so.
Thank you, and wish you all the best.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. This is Luis Robles, who is the captain and goalkeeper of the New York Red Bulls, here on One on One. Great guest.
One on One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 30 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One on One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Hackensack Meridian Health, Seton Hall University, Valley Bank, NJM Insurance Group, NJ Best, New Jersey's 529 College Savings Plan, the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, and by Fedway Associates. Promotional support provided by Tap Into TV and by New Jersey Monthly. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.